All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I know everybody's busy. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy days to learn a little bit more about Evolve and some of the benefits we can bring you in your transition, hopefully, to prefabrication. I'm here in beautiful and cold Atlanta, and thank you for joining me from wherever you might be, both existing and potential customers. We appreciate you coming out today. I'm just going to give people another minute or so to log on and we'll get rolling. Looks like we've got a good core of participants going now, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Sean Scanlan. I'm with Evolve, and I'll talk more about myself in just a second. But before I get started, I wanted to kind of just go and give everybody a quick shout out and link to follow us on social media. It's probably how you found out about us to begin with. Sign up on our LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We've got an awesome marketing team who's constantly putting out new content, an awesome video crew. We really strive to make ourselves known as the industry experts. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A as we go along, and myself and my team will do our best to get your questions answered as quickly as possible. Also, check out our website. We've got a lot of content on there. What I find most useful on the website, there's actually an ROI calculator on there. So you can kind of plug in your details about your company, your project, see how Evolve might affect your bottom line. You'll actually end up pleasantly surprised if you check out our website. So I encourage you to do that. When we get off here, I'll leave you a couple minutes so you can check that out. Just a little bit about me. I'm Sean Scanlan. I've been with Evolve for a little while now. Mostly spent my career in manufacturing. Learned a little bit about Revit and how some of the building systems are either in Revit or they don't exist. So my jump to Evolve came from the security manufacturing sector, and just been really happy to be here and excited at the direction where Evolve's taken me and the industry in general. So I've got a piece out about the fifth dimension, and that's kind of what I'll end with. So that's kind of like a sneak peek of where I see the industry going, and that's really exciting. So some of the Evolve software is going to help us move from prefabrication to essentially post-fabrication and building ownership. That's the end goal. So we've all seen a construction site, and I know for various, whether we are on site ourselves or we hear people talking about it, this does not look great. This is what we're trying to avoid. Obviously, there's going to be some waste, but this kind of thing is not just an eyesore, but will hit your pocketbook too. So the things we're going to talk about today are going to help you avoid this kind of scenario. We want to make everything nice and tidy, nice and cleaned up. Obviously, there'll be some waste, but those dumpsters can cost, $1,000 each, and this kind of stuff really adds up. So the core of the presentation today is going to really be the lifespan of the project and how we can obviously save money for you, reduce the environmental impact. So that means not as much waste on site, not as much fuel consumed, things that are almost intangible. We try to make tangible in Evolve. And the last area that I'm going to focus on is regulatory compliance and risk reduction, not just human risk, but your risk to errors and omissions. So from the beginning of the project, we want to start by moving towards prefabrication. Prefabrication, for those of you who may not be familiar, having things built offsite in a manufacturing environment that are going to be just dropped in place on site. We're going to minimize our on-site labor and equipment costs. That's probably the number one goal of prefabrication. On-site labor versus manufacturing facility labor can be anywhere from 2 to 3 times more expensive. Equipment transport, that's some of the intangible things, the time that equipment is on site. Obviously, there's considerations for loss prevention and these kind of things also. Avoiding printed materials. This is not just avoiding the paper costs, but also some of the errors that can be on printed materials. So we're moving towards a digitally backed, the first step in removing printed materials is to, for example, put like a QR code on those printed materials so that your team knows that those are the most updated drawings. One way to avoid errors. And also when you're dealing with suppliers, a lot of larger electrical and mechanical contractors now have the distributors in-house. So they have actually a distributor employee where they're able to on-site all of that delivery instead of that delivery truck making multiple trips across the city, there and back. Whoops, I forgot something. Having that in stock in a manufacturing type facility is going to save you a lot of money in the long run. So how do we use Evolve to accomplish these goals? For those of you who have Evolve, you're probably pretty familiar with the spool sheets. It's going to print out an easy BOM for you. I heard this recently, it's a 4-letter or 4-word kind of summary of what Evolve does. BIM, BOM, shop, field. So that's the workflow in general that we streamline using Evolve. So you can obviously design it in 3D in BIM, make the BOM, give it to the shop, and then send it to the field. We want to make that as seamless and error-free as possible. So when it shows up on site, you just essentially drag and drop, plug it in, put it together, and the errors that are going to be, you're going to find way less errors as opposed to building this kind of thing on site. You can actually design this with labels on it. Every part's labeled so the field crew isn't guessing where things go. You're taking less time figuring out where things go on site. And you can actually design in Evolve your components to fit on certain types of trucks. So if you have a 20-foot box truck, you make your prefab assembly, 19.5 feet, whatever it might be. We've actually had customers put their trailers into Evolve specifically for that purpose. So the main, the gist of prefabrication is putting it into a known and controlled environment versus an on-site, labor-intensive, a lot of variables on site, a lot of dirt, dust, confusion, injuries, all that stuff. So the more that we can bring that into a controlled environment, the fewer mistakes, less rework, less wasted material. You can order in bulk, you'll save money, and you'll waste less products. Another kind of unknown is if you're putting equipment on site for months on end, not only can you not use that equipment in other projects, you're prone to damage or loss or theft or more wear and tear on your equipment. So that's some of the intangible captures that Evolve helps you realize. Bottom line is you're going to make fewer trips with trucks. It's some of these, there's actually, I'm sure some of you are aware there's third-party delivery services that charge an arm and a leg to make last minute trips for you. So those kind of things that on a low margin job, you might be able to save 2 or 3 points just on fuel and delivery alone. I've seen, this is a huge problem for a lot of big construction sites in a downtown area. You're not allowed to have delivery trucks on site for certain times. And as those things get more restrictive, we'll be able to help you out with that. So essentially what we want to do is use Evolve's software to make preset pieces in a factory type environment. And what I'm actually finding, and I want to ask you guys about this now, is this is starting to be more and more of a requirement, especially as we're working with Google, Facebook, the big Fortune 100 companies. So I'm going to launch a poll now, and I want to ask you guys this. Are you finding that jobs either that you've been on or that you've been awarded actually have a requirement for at least partial prefabrication? I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll now, and if you guys could give me your best answer, I'll take 30 seconds to collect the answers, and we'll go from there. Getting some good responses. We appreciate you chiming in here. This is good. Looks like I've got 18 answers so far. All right, 19, 20 now. Well, that's a pretty good breakdown here. Okay, so we've got two more chiming in. We're still obviously leaning in one direction here, and I think this was kind of the expected outcome. So I'm going to end the poll, share the results. Majority of you said yes. So whether or not that's something, and for those of you who might be in the mid-market arena, this is kind of trickling down from Google, Meta, Amazon type of facilities that are requiring this kind of thing. That's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years more and more of a requirement as we move into more virtual construction. And if you're not sure, this is kind of a clear indicator of the ENR 100 companies are pretty much all going this direction, just because of the cost savings that you're going to find. Obviously is the primary reason. That kind of trickles down, like I said, to the other aspects, environmental concerns, just a lot cleaner, safer, easier. So these kind of things, these preset, you got a spool sheet set out on a cart, or in an extreme example, into an entire cage. That thing just gets picked up, dropped on an 18-wheeler, and delivered and put on site. So you can send it as big as you can. This thing's, I was gonna say as big as you can fit on a truck, but you can make a truck fit a whole lot more than that. So that's a nice example of, that's obviously at like an oil and gas facility, or maybe a power plant type environment where you just can't do the kind of things you used to be able to do on site. So what we want to do is I want to share this. One of our best customers here in the Atlanta area has a great before and after story. So they're a very enthusiastic customer, and we're excited to share this with you. I'm gonna, instead of hearing it from me blabbering on, I'll let you kind of hear it from them.
Over the years, construction has not really improved in the field. The main focus here is to try to get the manpower off the job. Let's try to build as much as we can in a manufactured facility.
Prefab is the ultimate goal. I see prefab as something that is taking unknowns from the field and putting it into a known environment. And the more things that you can move to the fab shop, more things that you can make that known quantity, the sharper you can make your pencil when you're going after work, and more profitable you can make your company.
Before we started using Evolve, it was so much manual drawing of the BIM department that was bogging us down on being able to get ahead of the game. We were doing prefab, but we weren't getting ahead. We were just getting by. So everything was a rush. Everything was last minute. With the Evolve software, it is so much better, so much quicker, so much further ahead. We have the ability to plan it.
One of the biggest opportunities that we saw with Evolve is really the ability to produce more efficiently. There are a lot of tools in the software that make things easier or quicker to do.
It makes the BIM guys be able to design quicker, which gives us more time to be able to give us processes in the fab shop, give us spool sheets, designs, makes it more efficient.
We've been able to achieve getting a much higher volume than we had in the past. Accuracy has been better. Been able to train people in the group. We bring in electricians from our field to do most of our modeling. So there's a very steep learning curve there, and I think Evolve has helped in that process.
Evolve has allowed us to take our work to the next level. Right now, we're able to produce a lot more volume from the model. We're able to model more because we have the tools through Evolve to create drawings that prefab can create these assemblies or the spools, and that those can go to the field. So really it's driving volume in the amount of work that we can do.
The collaboration with Evolve has been great. It's a true partnership. The people to work with are really helpful. They don't just tell us what to do, they ask us what we want, and then they help us refine that.
We've gotten nothing but positive feedback from our prefab group, whereas usually we get nothing but complaints. Now they're like, hey, this Evolve stuff's the best thing ever.
It was actually a couple of those guys at Cleveland Electric that sparked the idea for this webinar. They, when I first started with Evolve, it was an eye-opening. You know, it was a great before and after. Obviously, the facility is very nice, but one of the guys there pointed out that they had saved tens of thousands of dollars just on dumpster costs alone, which was, you know, at the very bottom tier of the calculation that you make when you go into a bidding a job. You just kind of take that for granted. So those little things that are obviously tangible or somewhat intangible, Evolve, we try to make them more tangible. And some of the features that we're coming out with in the future, things like labor tracking, shop time tracking, these kind of things are even more data-driven solution. Like we're really dialing in on that data to pull out as much efficiency as we possibly can. So I'm excited to, you know, stay tuned for more of that. I'll cover that in a webinar maybe early next year. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, this is intangible unless you're an insurance actuary. Some of the risk reduction that you're going to find. So, you know, I don't want to promise you that your insurance policies are going to drop, but your claims most certainly will if you look at it over the long run. Your personnel on site, reduced chances of injury. You know, obviously nothing's perfect. People in the manufacturing environment can get hurt as well, but the safety, the level of attention to safety details is much higher in a manufacturing environment. In a nice, well-lit facility versus a dusty and dirty construction site, we all know somebody who's got a story for that. And another thing is just the time and conditions that your equipment and your materials are there. You know, unfortunately, I think we all know somebody who's had some tools. Either, you know, you give your tool to your neighbor and you want it back in the same condition that you gave it in, and keeping those in-house tracked, maintenance properly. That's a huge, in the long run, that's a huge, you know, a hidden advantage of prefabrication is really, and kind of just a cost of doing business. Most people might think that's just money out the window, that, you know, you're going to lose equipment. So keeping that in a controlled manufacturing environment is another kind of hidden advantage of switching to prefabrication. So that's what I've got for today. I've got, obviously, I don't know who all's going to MEP for us. I hope some of you on, I'm sure some of you guys on here will be going, and I'm happy to meet you there and excited to go. And for those of you who haven't, please visit our website. There's a link to MEP Force. You can sign up for November 14th through 16th, just about a month away. We're coming up on a month here. And San Antonio is a really cool little city. If you guys haven't been there, you can see the Alamo. We've got a tour of the Toyota facility there lined up for some people. And there's gonna be a lot of great speakers there, much more knowledgeable and very thorough. You'll definitely walk away having more knowledge than you did before. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer any now. I don't see any in the Q&A. If you can obviously reach out to me personally if you have a question that you think of afterwards. We'll also email this recording to all the participants if you need to revisit anything. And we're, you know, again, please visit our website. You can see the not just that customer success story that I shared today, but any kind of mechanical contractors, engineers, other types of customers, and how they found advantages in moving to prefabrication. So anything else before I wrap up? I'm going to say thank you to everybody for coming, and nice to meet you. Hope to see you at MEP Force.